Welcome to ShinRobjira counts to 10 using toys, the movie.
ShinRobjira.
What's going on there, friends and neighbors? I am your host, and today we're going to be discussing my top 10 favorite figures of 2022. The rules are very simple. The figures themselves had to have come out last year, obviously. And I had to have made a video about it last year as well. So let's get started!
Number 10.
The Bandai Ultra Monster Series DX Mother Spherosaurus. A very, very late entry to the top 10, but still I could not pass up the opportunity of singing this figure's praises once more. Yes, in retrospect, this figure might seem a little on the dull side with mostly grays and such, but the overall presentation, how it looks, how it feels, how it still smells. Mother Spherosaurus is still just a knockout of the park and a total win for Bandai. While I'd love very much so if they did an even bigger version of this figure with even more paint, I'd be perfectly fine if this is the only figure we get of Mommy Spherosaurus.
Number 9.
Titan Titty Tech Goji and Kong! Yeah, I really couldn't help but put these two things on the list. Seriously, getting these two figures in was probably one of the funnest experiences of last year. They have super simple transformations, you can display them whatever way you wish, and when you're buying the figure, you're essentially getting two in one. And most importantly, they kinda just made me feel like I was a kid again. The very Trendmaster's approach to these, even though they pale in comparison. Just the oddly addictive feeling of looking at these things and just wanting to see them transformed or untransformed, getting an eye full of that and just wanting to transform them again. It was one of the nicer feelings in 2022, and I would have felt like a fool if these weren't included. Plus, we got that fire-ass song, too.
Monkey, monkey, come to me, so you come get sneep. Come get sneep, come get sneep, come get sneep. Come get sneep, oh, snip at the leg, snip at the leg. Now we rip him out. Look at Tine Tax, look at Tine Tax. Ooh, that's kind of hassle.
Jams. Number 8. Much to the surprise of no one, this particular kaiju had quite the fucking presence in 2022. So how could I pass it up by talking about easily the best figure of this particular character released last year? And I finally gave one of the best monsters from the Showa era a much needed vinyl rep reboot. While the original mold isn't a bad one by any shake of the leg, the 2022 version definitely updates Hedorah's standing. While yes, it doesn't feature as much paint as the original, the sculpt of the figure alone is top 10 list worthy. This really wasn't as hard of a choice as many would think it is. I mean, with all of the repaints that came out last year as well, it was pretty easy for my standards. While I love the Hedorah repaint storm that we're currently going through, nothing really does beat the new figure. And hey, yo, Bandai, if you're gonna keep doing Hedorah repaints, can we actually just get one of them on this? Please? I understand you're celebrating the original mold by giving it this second life, by repainting it, remolding it, the whole 9 yards, but I'd like a retro color version of this figure. That'd be beautiful. Come on.
Number 7.
This is the second, but the last Movie Monster Series figure that'll be appearing on this list. So, take a guess at what it is. It's 1996 Gamera. Yeah, 2022 had a lot of good releases from the Movie Monster series, but honestly, none of them even came close to old Gam over here. Love Jet Beta, love Salunga, love everything else for the most part, but again, nothing comes close to this figure. Bandai absolutely outdid themselves, and what else more is there to say? We finally got the best Gamera design from the Heisei trilogy in vinyl format, and I truly couldn't be happier. And Bandai, so help me God, if you don't do Showa and Gamera, the Brave variants, I will be very sad. Come on, it's not like anybody's going to mind getting Rebirth Gamera as a vinyl figure and then picking up Showa Gamera as a vinyl figure. Come on. Come on!
Number 6.
Yeah, I'm not even gonna lie to you all, I'm recording this the very next day because my dumbass can't count to 10! And of course this happens with number 6 because comedically enough, number 6 is the X Plus Defo Real Godzilla 1998 Night Color version, and yeah, there's some peak comedy for you all. I was so upset when I missed the original run of 98 Goji in the Defo Real line. So as soon as this thing got announced, I went ahead and I pre-ordered it. I wasn't going to pass up yet another instance of owning a new Godzilla 1998 anything. Have your opinions on the design and the movie all you wish, but you can't convince me that this isn't one of the coolest looking figures that old G98 has received. And it was a bit of a hard choice too, just because I went from having 2 Defo Real figures last year to now 8. And all of the other figures released in this line last year were fantastic, but Godzilla 1998 Night Color version, man, it just holds a special place in my heart. I don't know, maybe it's because I'm not a cynical the design at least has some merit to it. Anyway, if I ever come across the original out in the wild for the right price, be it the standard release or the Rick release, I would definitely go about picking that up because my collection needs more G98 and Zilla. Alright, back to previous day round now.
5!
I don't even know if people are going to remember number 5, but X Plus Toho Maniacs Matango. I've wanted a figure of one of these laughing, gaffing, mushroom motherfuckers for so very long. And when the Toho Maniacs line got announced from X Plus, basically saying, yeah, if the Bandai Movie Monsters series was made by X Plus and you paid $40 or $50 before shipping, you get something like this. That's exactly what it is, and it comes with the tag, and as my very first and likely only Matango figure that I'll ever be able to afford on a normal day-to-day basis budget, this thing absolutely scratched that itch. I love him. I love him so very much. He has stayed on my desk next to my mic the entire time. But no, seriously, Movie Monster Series Matango figure when, big guy?
Number 4, huh?
So 2022 was a fun year indeed. It wasn't as prosperous as 2021, but one of my favorite things about last year is that I was able to move into some different IPs and actually see a little bit of success with that and have fun talking about it at the very same time. I think that kind of spoiled it, but yeah, Hammond Collection Rexy, how could I not? $50, loads of articulation, great paint apps and details, nice little rubbery membranes that I love fucking with. I mess with this figure on a normal day-to-day basis, and I have since I got it and added it into my collection. Yeah, it's not perfect with its giant clown feet, its dead eyes, or even its pretty flat-looking teeth, but to say that this figure was in any way, shape, or form an upset would be lying. Or you're just wrong. And this figure did a rather magical thing for me, and that was made me excited for new Jurassic Park figures. Not just because they perform well on the channel, but just because there is a certain quality to the Hammond Collection stuff that makes me actually want them. So much so that my original statement of only getting carnivores is completely moot now, because I have an Ankylosaurus and this friggin' thing that I can't remember the damn name of. While Baryonyx did make me very excited, Rexy pretty much made me a believer. I even got more figures after this gal, so I owe all the Jurassic Park figures in my collection to Rexy, and to all of you who watched. Thanks so much. Number 3. I don't think it's much of a secret that I really enjoyed Godzilla Singular Point at the time of release, and still do to this day. And the absolute lunacy that we experienced with the Movie Monster series practically releasing a new figure every week alongside the show as those particular creatures appeared was... But of course, one of the most memorable things about Singular Point was one of its main characters, that being Jet Jaguar. And I know this is gonna shock a couple of people just because of the whole build and everything, but my third favorite figure of the year is going to be the SH Monster Arts Jet Jaguar Beta. I paid $70 before shipping. I got so much with this figure, and even with the little elbow breakage, which is actually really easy to work around, this thing hasn't broken or stopped being a fun to pose figure at all. I would still say that this is one of the stronger releases from SH Monster Arts, and I think I could say that about most of the Singular Point figures that they've released. Yeah, it's not a perfect SH Monster Arts release, i.e. the build quality, but this is a figure that I still managed to mess around with, pick him up, pose him, switch out all of his different accessories, and just have fun with. And it wasn't a fucking bleeding pile of shit that just broke apart every time you tried to pose it. I'm growing as a human being, I'm learning to love SH Monster Arts, and, well, again. Maybe? Probably not.
I want to.
I had been waiting for this figure for a very long time, and finally getting this figure in just awoke a certain joy within my body, because it finally happened. It's here. It's in my hands. The hype was entirely met. I never thought this would happen. I never ever thought in a million friggin' years I would ever get to the point where something like this happened. Number 2 is, of course, Exquisite Basic Goji. Beautifully painted, beautifully detailed. Love the size, love the heft. Sure, it might articulate like a NECA figure, but it has a lot more than just that. This was the very first articulated Godzilla figure from Hiya Toys. They made statues, those look great, and I kind of want to pick them up too. But what a way to win people over, and they only further won me over, at least, with their Kong. All the more excited for Rodan and Mothra this year, and probably Mechagodzilla, and maybe Ghidorah, maybe. But no, seriously, I was really impressed with this thing. I still am. I still mess around with it and pose him with Kong, and Hiya really brought the friggin' hype. They brought the friggin' trust too, because we're now 2 figures deep, and no SH Monster Artisms in sight. The ball's in Hiya's court. I think they're gonna knock it out of the park with Rodan. It's Mothra I'm the most worried about, but if NECA can do it as good as they did, I really don't doubt that Hiya can do even better. I mean, it's not like they have much competition. Have you seen Sham Mothra? Yuck.
And finally, number 1.
So Hiya Goji was number 2. What in the hell's gonna be number 1? What other figure that came out last year even so much as matched the hype of Hiya Godzilla? Patriot Studios, Lady Don't Be Trust. Come on, you didn't see this coming? This video hasn't been about the most technically superior figures of the year, the best this, the best that. These are the figures that brought me the most joy in 2022, and Lady Domitresk very much brought me the most joy last year, in multiple different ways, and not the gross ways that some of you are probably commenting or thinking right now. No, the wait for this figure to arrive was insane. And I hated it so very much. And then it finally got released. They charged my credit card. My credit card got frozen because apparently it's a completely different story. And on top of that, mine came with the wrong right bicep applied, and I contacted them, and within 2 months, I had a replacement piece. The customer service, finally getting this in, making a video that I was not only super duper proud of, but actually performed way above my expectations. Patriot Studio Domitresk just blew me away in every way, shape, and form. I could not have been more happier with this figure, and I hope they make more of her. I hope there's more from Resident Evil Village to come from the Patriot Studio. And as much as I would love to get the red and black dress variants of my beloved Domitresk, I don't even think they're in print anymore, so big sag. Yes, ShinRobjira's favorite figure of the year isn't even Godzilla related, it's Resident Evil related. And again, it was the hype leading up to it. It was finally getting it. It was getting the figure all done up with her accessories. It was making that ridiculously hoary and long video that I made, and it completely paying off in more ways than me just being happy with it. So that's it. Those are my top 10 favorite figures of the year. I do so hope you all enjoyed this, and if you did, we can make this an annual thing. Obviously, I'd end up doing it a little bit earlier than, nearly the middle of January, but I got busy. Life finds a way to get in the way, as I usually say. Lars, do me a favor. Why don't you comment down in the comment section below and tell me some of your favorite figures of the year? I know we're all over the place, save for Godzilla and Kaiju related stuff, so I want to hear it. Were there any Transformers figures that impressed you last year? Jurassic Park, superheroes, anything, literally anything. I want to hear about it. I will read through each and every single one of those comments. I will answer them, and yeah, and I will see you all next week, Monday preferably, where we're gonna move away from giant monsters and giant robots and just to be metal. Yeah, finally. Doom. Bye.